Let's take a closer. Genesis, I like that. It's music to my ears. Genesis chapter 14 and verse 18. Well, I want to open up. Let's just open this one. Let's use this one for now. So Genesis in front of me, so let's just use it. Genesis chapter 18. Oh, 14, tripping. Mind is running, daughter is singing. 18. Hey man, learning never stops. It never stops, y'all. And Melchizedek, that is Melchizedek, king of Salem, and Selah on his name, Melchizedek. Selah. The word which is Zadek in modern Hebrew for righteousness is set, is the word Deka, one. I was about to say that unity we talked about. Christ preaching. What did I say that? Yeah, I said that last on the part one. He was trying to get the brother and to understand unity. What good thing shall I do? That the one thing you can do is keep the law. That's that Deka, right? We call it Deka Koe. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our life. MÁWU is one. I digress, we made progress. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, as they say, brought forth bread and wine. And he was the priest of the Most High. So right here is showing you that the scripture says he was from Salem. I'm going to show you something that may have never set in for you. Let's get Jasher. Let's get the book of the upright ones. Let's get Jasher. Got that where I got it in my, where is it in my favorites? Where are my books here? That's weird. Oh, maybe it's right here. Okay, here we go. I'm about to say, man, where's my books? Let's make it bigger for. Let's get Jasher. Let's get 16 and 11. And Adonizedek, that is Melchizedek, king of Jerusalem. King of who? Jerusalem. King of who? Jerusalem. And Melchizedek, that's Adonizedek, king of Jerusalem. The same was Shem, king of Jerusalem. We've been taught that's just a city of peace. Like in Sodom and Gomorrah, right? When he with the king of Sodom, right there above him, you see the recovered property of Sodom, right? Bera, king of Sodom. And the rest of his men were with him. And then you also have Uncle Simon, who was the what? King of Jerusalem. Look, let me show you the deception for me. They say he's the king of peace. That means king, high priest, and king of peace, foreshadowing Christ. That's what we're taught. I know right now you're like, see, now you don't look at Christ the same though, do you? This is not king of peace as in the idea. This is king of peace as in the tangible city of Jerusalem. Moment. Am I saying that Uncle Simon, Shem, was the king of Jerusalem? Oh, I think I am. But don't just take my word for it, because in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, correct? Let me introduce you to another one of my elders. Yes. 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 That's what old school preacher Dickies. Yes. Yes. Melchizedek. This is Uncle Kwame Adu.
And the Egyptians sent a priest called Melchizedek to Canaan to rule it as a governor on behalf of the pharaohs. It is Melchizedek who built the city called Jebusi. Jebusi. Now, it is this city called Jebusi which was called by the indigenous of Palestine Jerusalem, meaning the city of peace, or Salem, simply Salem, peace, in honor of the peaceful nature of Melchizedek, the founder of the city. Now, because the original name of the city was Jebusi, the people, that's the Canaanites or the Egyptians, living in Jebusi were also called Jebusites. And of course, they were also called Canaanites, as you all know. Now, Josephus Flavius, the Greek historian, has said that the city called Jerusalem was built by a Canaanite chief called in the vernacular the King of Peace. Now, there's a book called A is for Advent. In this book, you will see also that the Canaanites were an Egyptian tribe. So all this help us first to know that the Canaanites came from Egypt. Even the Bible says that the Canaanites spoke the Egyptian language. So if the Canaanites came from Egypt and Melchizedek was a Canaanite king, then it is, and it's Melchizedek who built Jerusalem. Then it's the Canaanites who built Jerusalem. And if these Canaanites were the Akans, then the Akans built Jerusalem. So it's the Akans who built Jerusalem. To conclude,
Uncle just told you that the Canaanites built Jerusalem, and the architect, the overseer of the project, was Uncle Shem, Melchizedek. I hope you got your ears on out there. I hope you got your seatbelt on. Have you ever heard? I know I've never heard in all my wisdom that Shem built Jerusalem, and Jerusalem was named after him. So in the Everton will be Jerusalem. Because the Jebusi, I'll explain a little more on the Busi, so I won't go get in front of him. But Jerusalem, or you could say Jerusalem, that's the true name of the city. Shem built Jerusalem. The Canaanites, or who are called Canaanites, built Jerusalem, who are Akans. Got that in part 1, Kana. Built Jerusalem. Now he mentioned Uncle Josephus, and let's see if what he's saying is true. Let's go to Josephus, The Wars of the Jews. Better these two. Don't need them. Oops. Part 1. Go. Let's get War of the Jews, starting with chapter Book 6, chapter 10. I got it here. Got to buy this one. I think I've done that twice. Let's see. Here we go. War of the Jews. Book 6, chapter 10. See, verse is book 6. I always hate how they set it up, Josie. Book 6, chapter 10, section 1, verse 35. That's how you read it. And thus was Jerusalem, that is Jerusalem, taken in the 2nd year of Vespasian. Just going through the highlights here. Yeah, I'm gonna read this top part. Okay. On the way, if they change that so I can do that easier, which is a good thing. 8th day of the month, Gorpius, it had Gregorian, Elu, it had been taken 5 times before, though this was the 2nd time of its desolation. For Shishak, the king of Egypt, and after him Antiochus, after him Pompey, after them Sosius, and Herod took the city, but still preserved it. So Herod is, when we come into what was that word for Matthew? I found the real word for Matthew the other night. Can't remember. But Matthew is not Mateo. It's a better word. Dang, I can't remember it. But Matthew, and we come into the Matthew, into the Jesus narrative. Herod, who we know is Edomian. If you don't know that, then you need to, that's a whole different lesson for a different day. But yes, King Herod is Edomian. He's half Edomian, half Jew, but his father is an Edomian, so he's actually Edom. All right, he's Esau. So if you don't know that, now you know. That's a big moment for you. For Israelites, we all know this. So that was the last ruler of Jerusalem. But before all these, the king of Bablatau, or Babylon, conquered it and made it desolate. So before any of these 5 rulers, it was conquered. 1,468 years and 6 months after it was built. Selah. But he who first built it was a important man among the Canaanites. Who? Canaanites. Who? Akans. And is on our tongue called Melchizedek, the righteous king. For such he really was, on which account he was there the first priest of MÁWU, and first built a temple there, and called the city Jerusalem, which was formerly called Salem, or just Salem. Now, formerly called Salem, talking about after the aforementioned. So this is backing up or coinciding with what Uncle Kwame Aku just told us. I had never read this before. This is newly highlighted literally yesterday for me. Okay, so don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. I've been through the academies and things myself. Never gone to any of these places. Why? Because I'm going to the soil. I'm out of the book and I'm going to Christ. He said, search the scriptures is written of me, but you would not come to me. Who's the him? His people, your people. Our identity is not in Christ. I digress so we may progress. Back to the lesson. Get back in the road. Get back in that road. Stay over there. Now, let's look at the footnote. Let's take a look at this satanic footnote. Look at that beautiful black hand with the dirty fingernail. It's a beautiful black hand with some dirty, ugly fingernail. You see, I have it listed liars, right? If you can see past the dirt, you see I have it listed liars. Speaking of liars, I know you lying, yes, with them hands. Check it out. This is what they wrote. This is why I had to do part one. I had to take so much time on part one because I had to break it down. Hopefully, where you hate Christianity at this moment. That's where I hope you are. So you can see and easily understand when I say somebody's lying, you can easily see it and understand why and where it's coming from. Okay? The father of lies. Why the great Edom? Why the great Bochart should say that there are in this clause of Josephus as many mistakes as words. All right, we are back, Kafla. Palavie. I read this wrong. Okay, that's okay. Good. I'll take the liars out. I'll apologize. All right, let me show you what I read wrong. No problem. Calm down. Hey, put your stones down. Put your stones down. It's all right. Put your stones down. All right, here's what I read this wrong. I'm going to erase that liars. So I have a pen on my. But he says, I by no means understand. He doesn't understand, whoever's notating doesn't understand why the great Bocart would say that there are in this clause of Josephus so many mistakes as there are words. He says, I don't get it. And he says that it afterwards came to be called Jerusalem, and that Melchizedek, being a priest as well as a king, built to the true God therein a temple or place for public divine worship and sacrifice, all which things may be very true, for aught we know to the contrary. So he's agreeing with Josephus. So I apologize for that, whoever this brother is. Probably long gone by now, but nevertheless. All right. Next. So that's actually incorrect on my part. But nevertheless, holy territory, Batman. Jerusalem is in Israel, but he's not an Israelite, right? Talking about Simeon, Uncle Simeon, Shem. Let's see who occupied that land before Israel. Who was it? If you answered the Canaanites, you're correct. But if the Canaanites occupied that land, Wouldn't that mean? No. Couldn't be. Wait a second. Let's take a closer look. Let's go to Genesis chapter 4 and verse 16. Let's take a closer look. See my recorder popped back on. Let's take a closer look for me. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, this is just, I didn't have time to hyperlink all my Bible verses. I only had time to hyperlink everything else, but not the Bible verses. So bear with me. Let's look in my folder. All right, we are headed to Genesis 4 and 16 now. Transportation befitting for now. And Cain went out from the presence of Ènyé, the Lord, and dwelt in on the of Eden. Now, for those of you that may not have, the biblical wisdom, let me make sure I include you. Africa map. Actually, let's do it this way, so I'm not making anything up. And again, if you've seen what I was about to say, from part 1, the land new segment part 1, I revealed why I think that why others are being led to believe that the Holy Land, as in Eden, is in Central Africa, right? Congo area specifically. But just to use a random, search to give the popular opinion, Eden is believed to be in this area here, and then some say towards this part. Let me show you. Let's see what else we got here. So they're saying, maybe I do this a different way, actually. Let me see if that works. Let's see something in this picture quick here. So I get better view. Let me see, Kafla. I will get a better view. There we go. That's all I want to see. You can see it there. As you can see there, this right here is the garden. They say the garden was here. Land of Eden, garden was here. Notice that this land of Eden for me, pay close attention, encompasses this Nile, the delta, right? Just notice that, Selah, keep that in mind. Let me look at another image just to see what I see. I think that'll be all I need on that. Okay. I just seeing what I see here. Let's ride with that. Let's just ride with this. I'm show 2 ways. So they're saying Eden is here. Now, if he dwelt on the east of Eden, east on this map would be this way. If we want to say reverse the map, turn it upside down, then east would be this way. Now, I believe it's pretty evident, and I'm going to reveal this, in this message, you're also going to get more proof of what I'm saying, and others are saying, that And this is where I need, all right, let's type in Africa. Africa. All right, that the Congo, all its rich life, what is it? On some silly stuff. I want images, not all that. Here we go. So they're saying Eden is here, right? We're saying Eden is like right around here. On this map, if he dwelt on the east, it would be over here. So maybe that's right. And if Uncle Cain went to dwell on the east, on the proper facing of the map, and it's not the inverse, right? Then he would have stayed somewhere over here. I will say this much. Neither one of these directions, at least on this map, is where Canaan is, right? It's not where Jerusalem is. The case I'm building is that he didn't move to, this is not the Canaanite, Cain's descendants are not the ones who were here. Let's go to Genesis 4 and verse 17 now. Let's look at verse 17. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch. Who? Enoch. Enoch. And he builded a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son, Enoch. So Cain built a city and called it Enoch. So he didn't, that's not Jerusalem, right? He built a city. Let's see if that's in Canaan. We don't have anybody ever that I've seen saying that, oh yeah, that was the city of Enoch before it was the city of, or the land of Canaan. All right? At least that I've seen. Here's one thing that I have found, woman. Here's one thing that I have found. I did a quick search. I said, Africa. I typed it this way, I think. Enoch, Africa. That's what I typed. You get maps. Hold on, you're out in Africa. Ain't no black folks pop up, huh? But I digress. Map. Might have to go to Google where it brings up the better. It uses, Google Maps. This is giving me, it's not giving me access to a map. There we go. Let's try it this way. Let's see. Okay, I was using Google, like I said, so. Let me try Google real quick here. Stop share file. Account information, apparently. I gotta log in. Hold up. Blah, blah, blah. The game. Yes. Let's try this. Yeah. Search. Africa. See in the same area. So there's an Enoch here. I may just have to point it out for me, and but it's not the one I looked it up on my no. Might just point it out real quick. Oh, it's not coming up for me. Let's try to go back. Not coming up. But I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm not gonna sit and search for it. It's not, I have it prepared, so I'm not gonna worry about it. I will point it out. If you need that proof, I can give it to you later. The Enoch I found though, it came up right here. This is where it came up in this area. So we see an Enoch here and we see an Enoch here. My point is no Enoch in the land of Canaan. That's my point. So Cain, descendants of Cain, are not the Canaanites that are being spoken of necessarily here. Let's get chapter 5, verse 9. Tale of two cities. And Enos lived 90 years and begot Canaan. Who? Canaan. And begot Cana. We know that's Cana, but we got Canaan, right? So this is Enos having another Canaan. That's my point. You've now got, and I wrote this down a long time ago. Maybe I should have took a photo for you, but I'll just show you right here. First got this book, some of my earlier studies. I don't know if you can see there, but at the top, get by me. But at the top, I've got two Enochs. There's an Enoch in chapter 4. You're going to see there's an Enoch in chapter 5. So you got same name, two different lineages. Wicked seed versus the righteous seed, if you will. All right? So this is a different Enoch, Canaan, not the Cain that was kicked out or his descendants. This is a descendant of Seth. So there's the descendants of Cain, and then there's the descendants of his brother's replacement, Seth. All right? This Canaan is a descendant of Seth. Now, let's take a look. A closer look at that verse. Prove that. Word for Canaan in that passage is 70, Hebrews 70:18. No. Let's take a look. Here it is. Canaan 70:18. derived from the root kum, meaning to be fixed or established. Let's see here. Great grandson said. What I want here. Okay, good. I want to read this right here. Canaan is a figure in the genealogical records of the Bible, appeared in the line of Seth, which is considered the godly or righteous line, leading to Noah, and eventually to Abraham. The genealogies in Genesis serve to trace the lineage of the faithful and to establish the historical and theological continuity from creation through the patriarchs. Canaan's inclusion in these genealogies underscores the importance of family lineage and heritage in ancient Hebrew culture, where ancestry was closely tied to identity and covenantal promises, right? Let's go to Luke now. Luke 3:36. Which was the son, this is in the genealogy table of, they say Mary, but you have to understand that this is, don't let it be a distraction, this is Christ's lineage, right? Because, and you'll understand that a little better when I read a certain part to you about how Levites and why they did things, but they did things. Which was the son of Canaan. What? Which was the son of Canaan, which was the son of Aphaxad, which was the son of Sem. Who? Sem. Look how Sem is spelled in Luke 3:36. I had not highlighted this before for me. I had never seen that in the Bible before. I wouldn't have caught it if I wasn't now an ever speaker. If I didn't realize who I was, not in Christ, but through my father's Seme, then I wouldn't catch this is the actual spelling, not just some Greek or Latin thing. That's his name spelled correctly, Seme. But in every tonal language, you have to have a vowel to end it as well, because the tone changes the meaning. So it's Seme. Showing you how Hebrew works. I know that. You have to know the language to know the vowel. The son of Noah, which was the son of Lamech. So Canaan, there's another Canaan. Kapla. This Canaan, make sure I got that right. Because Sem is here. This is at Noah. So the Canaan I just read to you is back before this Canaan. So there's two Canaans in Christ's genealogical record, actually. If you go all the way back to Amen, who we call Edom. Because we know that or Hebrews, right? We, as you've learned, use the same names over and over again to maintain our oral tradition, our histories. See? So that's why you're seeing Canaan, aka Kana, aka Akans, right? show up in whose lineage? Christ. Genesis 11 and 13. Let's see if there are any deceptions. So Genesis 11 and 13. It says, and Arphaxad lived after he begot Salah 403, probably Selah, but more than likely, Selah, 403 years, and begot sons and daughters. Now, why did I bring this verse? Here, Arphaxad lived after he begot Selah 403 years, and begot sons and daughters. Who do you not see right here for me? You don't see Cana. But when you look at the genealogical record in Luke, you see that Arphaxad, who do they point out as one of his sons? Cana. Do you see someone trying to deceive and throw you for a loop here? It's just sons and daughters in Genesis. But when you get to Luke, it points out specifically Cana, who is Akan. Where you get your Akan from, right? Here's the thing you may not remember. Luke is actually before Matthew. That's actually, if you went in strict timeline order, you would put Luke first. That, in fact, I think it actually used to be the first book, but they changed it. So why put this genealogy that has Sem and Cana in it and replace it with the Matthew genealogy where you don't see Sem and you don't see Cana? I think it's obvious. Someone's trying to distract you from or hide the truth. They're lying to you. Let's get verse 37 here. Which was the son of Methuselah? Which was the son of Enoch? Which was the son of Jared? Which was the son of Malaleel? Which was the son of Cana? So that's the Cana we read about in Genesis 11 and 13. I mean, yes, in Genesis 11. No. In Genesis 5 and verse 9. Yes, in Genesis 5 and verse 9. That Cana, where you get your Akan from. So I submit to you that Israel, where Jerusalem is where our fathers were. And so when Uncle Josephus is saying that, is calling Semet a Akan, that's why. Because he was a Canaanite, if you will. Not an Israelite, not a Hebrew, couldn't be, can't be, not a Jew or even an Abrahamite. Can't be any of these things. Not a Noahite. Never hear him called that, even though technically he would be. You only hear him called he's a Canaanite. Again, what camp have you heard calling us Canaanites? The only thing you've heard is Canaanites being Ham, the Canaanites being evil. The only thing you get from the biblical narrative is Canaanites are one of the evil tribes that we were commanded to destroy and wipe off the face of the earth. Genocide. To kick out, who we had to go in. As I've told you, the whole book has corruptions. It's the gold spell. The God spell. It's the God spell. And I'm showing you it's throughout, it has infected the entire book. So you can't just, uphold the Old Testament and say, I'm good. But I can tell you right now, you can uphold a lot more of the Old Testament than you can the New. I will say that. Let's move forward. Let's see what Uncle Jose told you, had to say about it. Remember, and you heard this in part 1, Uncle Jose told you that Ghana is Kana. Let's get Let's continue. Kafla, technical difficulties.
And they named it after their original home, Kana. Yes. So it was this Kana, the history of which was written by the Arabs. And the Arabs, in writing Kana, wrote Ghana. That is how the word Ghana came.
Okay.
And it may interest you to know that J.B. Dankwa, our own J.B. Dankwa, yes, was the one who conducted its research in Europe.
Okay.
And found out that it was Kana that the Arabs wrote Ghana.
That's very interesting.
Yes. So when we came here, we were still calling ourselves Kana. That is the Akan that we found now. So later on we have been, and they named it after
Akans, Kana. Thing I'm saying. So when you see Canaanite, that is actually the Akans. See? So it's funny, for years I heard, Africans calling themselves Akans. And now I understand the gravity, and you will too, of what that means. Right now, it's still alien to you, but trust me, when we're done, you will have a new love for that word. The Bible was compiled starting in 382 AD. That's 382 years after Christ's death, with the Council of Rome, and ending in 393 to 397 AD with the Council of Hippo. Then you have the deceptive work of the Masoretes, which, that's the Masoretes are the scribes who went in and took place during the 6th and 10th century AD. So this is 600 to 1,000 years after Christ. You've got the Masoretes, the same time Islam is being created by Muhammad or enforced upon our people by the sword. Remember, we're often going into slavery and getting Christianity and everything else has been, we've already went over some of this stuff in part 1. But you got these Masoretes. Now, actually, let me keep going. Writing, right? In our text. Let me keep going. I forget, I laid everything out, so all I gotta do is read it. So it just keeps me streamlined. They translated it out of the pure Hebrew, meaning, which is the Ewe tongue, into the Aramaic, which is the source of the Bible that we are reading today. We, the true people, aka Black people, were long gone. Now, if you Google this, you're not going to find any wrongdoing. But common sense tells you differently, especially in lieu of all we've exposed here. Like the work of the true Bible authors, right? Remember, I've taught you in the past about JPEG, which is the Jehovah. These are the different scribes, the Masoretes, the Jehovah source, which were pushing the name Jehovah, the Elohim. So when you see Elohim, that's the Elohim scribes, which is more, that's the one that's a little bit more trustworthy. All right. Remember, I was showing you that Jehovah, which is the Lord. When you see that, that's an agenda. I showed the difference between, speaking of Tell the Two Cities, these duplicates that we went over in part 1, which is the 4th sect, which is the Deuteronomist, which means copy, and the priests, right, which are pushing the laws. But I showed you how there's Jacob, take forefather Yahweh, for example, Jacob. You got the angel narrative. He was choked by the angel. He won, and I won't let you go till you bless me. The comic book, superhero theology. And then literally right across the street, saying you got one on this page and one on this page. It's got the same narrative, but naming him without all the superhero stuff. It's a true source, and then there's the hero source. I showed you that with Christ in part 1. With the lady that grabbed his, that was called a dog. Now, when the Old Testament showed it. David brought out the 4 Goliaths, part 1, right? So that's what I'm talking about here. Understand who's scribing and writing what. This is what you haven't heard or learned, up until this point. But hopefully after this message, we'll take a different direction as a people. All of whom we've shown in prior messages. Deuteronomy means copy. I showed you that in part 1. So I'll sum it up with these words. Let's get Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14. Let's get Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14. And I don't think I'm on. Let's get 16:11 so we get there. All right, here we are. Chapter 14. To you. Let's get verse 8 through 12. Why don't we? Right. But that which is made with the hands is cursed, as well as he that made it. He because he made it, and it because being corruptible, it was called God. For the ungodly, and I'm reading it as it is, and his ungodliness, that is unrighteous and his unrighteousness, are both alike hateful. What? Hateful unto MÁWU. Now, actually, I don't do that anymore here. Part 1, I had to do that. Here. Now, hate, that's what I was showing earlier. Well, actually, I showed that, and that's why, again, I keep saying it, but the news goes right in line. I revealed that when I was revealing Edom being the abomination that maketh desolate. You have to understand that abomination just means strong hate or distaste. When he said the unrighteous and the unrighteousness and that the unrighteous sinners are both alike hateful to MÁWU, to the Most High, then he's saying that they're abominations. Sinners are abominations to him. Again, if you read the biblical text as is, homosexuality is an abomination. But you don't get pants are abomination. A woman wearing pants, a woman that's trying to usurp a man, that's an abomination. You see what I'm saying? Not wearing fringes. Abomination. Breaking his commandments, the code, that's an abomination. It's a virus. See? But translation is the gentrification of our theology, right? Now, 10. For that which together with that be a visitation, because the creature of MÁWU, they are become an abomination, can't make this stuff up, and stumbling blocks to the souls of men, and a snare to the feet of the unwise. Verse 12, for the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, invention of them the corruption of life. In lieu of everything we've read here. Now let's hear Uncle, I can just use the same, do I use the same window here? Let's see. That's it. No, I don't need you no more. That's for sure.
To talk about analogies of the Trinity, we have to start just with a couple minutes on.
Here it is.
And the Egyptians
Go
sent
back to Uncle
a priest called
Kwame. Let him break down what you call God.
the word ni is a morpheme equivalent to the English morpheme ian, I-A-N, or E-R, as you say,
Oh, I'm
Britisher.
tripping. Hold on. I'm that is not, I'm reading something on my notes that's wrong. Hold on. This is wrong. Let me the right thing in front of you. Yeah, that's what we want.
The Akan cannot imagine God of any shape, which is correct because God has no shape. It's shapeless. It's beyond shape. In the same sense, God is beyond existence in time. So there's no time when God started to exist or when life started to exist. And there is no time when life is going to end in existence. In other words, there's no time where God is going to end existence. If as soon as life ceases to exist, everything ceases to exist.
I played it twice. That's okay.
Therefore, life is God, and God is life. It's not as if God is the source of life. God is life itself. And this life, as already said, created everything or gave existence.
So it's different coming from our sages, don't it? But he's giving, again, he's sharing the wisdom of the Akan, our ancient wisdom on these things, on MÁWU, right? And I preached what? It was like a year or two ago when I understood, showed the understanding that the Most High is life. And you're hearing now come full circle, I was correct. Go back to, pick up at verse 13 here. For neither were they from the beginning, neither shall they be forever. 14. For by vain glory of men they entered into the world, and therefore, remember, we're talking about idols, and therefore shall they come shortly to an end. 15. For a father afflicted with untimely mourning, when he hath made an image of his child, talking about the Pope, making his son, Cesare Borgia, the image of Jesus. His son, his child, soon taken away, now honored him as a god, which was then a dead man, and delivered to those that were under him ceremonies and sacrifices. Thus, in the process of time, an ungodly custom grown strong was kept as a law, and graven images were worshipped by the commandments of kings, whom men could not honor in presence, because they dwelt far off. They took the counterfeit of his visage from far, and made an express image of a king whom they honored, to the end that by this their forwardness they might flatter him that was absent as if he were present, meeting or satisfying the king. Also, the singular diligence of the artist did help to set forward the ignorant to more superstition. Christians, Israelites, superhero theology. For he, peradventure, willing to please one in the authority, forced all of his skill to make the resemblance of the best fashion. And so the multitude allured. Man, I read this right here completely different now that I understand that, but I can't say it at the moment. So just say that, hold that in your spirit, because I'll harken back to this right here. To make a resemblance of the best fashion. Man, please hold that in mind. I gotta keep that in mind. The best fashion. It'll pop back when I get there. Remember in Uncle Arius in Blacks Who Died for Jesus said Christ was not God. He was simply the best of created beings, right? And so the multitude, allured by the grace of the work, took him now for a God, which a little before was but honored as a man. And this was an occasion to deceive the world. For men serving either calamity or tyranny did ascribe unto stones and stalks the incommunicable name. This is documentation from our forefathers on what happened with Serapi. Tying it all together. That's how Serapi got to the New Testament. This right here. This creating a new world. Let's go to first Maccabees chapter 3, verse 45. First Maccabees chapter 3. Down road, verse 45. 46. Says, now Jerusalem lay void as a wilderness. There was none of her children that went in or out, coinciding with the history we've already read. The sanctuary also was trodden down, and aliens, strangers, Gentiles, invaders, impostors, kept the stronghold. The heathen had their habitation in that place, and joy was taken from Bediaco. And the pipe with the harp ceased. 46. Wherefore the Israelites assembled themselves together and came to Mitzpah over against Jerusalem. For in Mitzpah was the place where they prayed aforetime in Israel, right? Verse 48. And laid open the book of the law, that is our records, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. Now that just doesn't mean paintings. That also means meddling with the text. Paint means when someone says, I want to paint a picture for you. So it's talking about the whole agenda as a whole. That means removing documents, editing, redacting, and painting images. The whole nine is what it's talking about when it says to paint the likeness of their images. You can replace paint with to create the likeness of their images. See? So this gives you an explanation of what they've been doing. Showing you that all of our documents, Old Testament, New Testament, all of our books, even though there's truth, they've done little things, change words, translation, remove, add, right? Oh, this scholar said this, rabbi said this. All that is what's being spoken of in verse 48. Cana, which is Canaan. What? Cana, which is Canaan, is of the Akans, who are Israelites. Now, let's prove it. Cana, which is Canaan, is of the Akans, who are Israelites. Israelites are Akans. Akans are Israelites. Canaanites are Israelites. Israelites are Canaanites. All right? The land of Israel is the land of Canaan. Canaan is Israel, Israel is Canaan. Just driving that home. Let's go to Josephus, Uncle Josephus. Against Apion, book 1, chapter 1, verse 1 through 4. Verse 1 through 4. Suppose that's by my books. Now, to set the stage for this, what I'm saying, one thing I'm doing, the main thing I'm doing that has allowed me to gain these revelations is, as I say, I've coined it, I'm going to the soil, meaning I'm going to my people in the land today, our elders, telling you what our history is. I'm going to our sources. Say it all the time. We got to stop reading the white man's books, so to speak, taking in his doctrine, letting them tell us our history. The key is oral traditions. Everything isn't written. A lot of the wisdom is in the mouth of the elders, soil, the culture itself, the language. That's what I'm using. Uncle Josephus is saying the same thing, and amazingly, he's literally saying it here, which you're about to hear. He's literally saying what I'm telling you, and it's amazing. So the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, right? Here we go. Suppose that by my books of the antiquities of the Jews, most excellent Epaphroditus, I have made it evident to
You did.
Yeah, have a lot of technical difficulties. We are back. Where was I? Let's start here. I have made it evident to those who peruse, them that our Jewish nation is of very great antiquity and had a distinct subsistence of its own originality. As also I have therein declared how we came to inhabit this country wherein we now live. Those antiquities contain the history of 5,000 years and are taken out of our sacred books, but are translated by me into the Greek tongue. However, since I observe a considerable number of people giving ear to the reproaches that are laid against us by those who bear ill will to us, and will not believe what I have written concerning the antiquity of our nation. See that? Just like a black man saying, I know you won't listen to me, but I'm going to tell you anyway. While they take it for a plain sign that our nation is of a late date, means young, just like us, don't have any history when we actually do, because they are not so much as vouchsafed, just meaning verified, of bare mention by the most famous historiographers among the Grecians. So just tell you the most famous upheld Greek white philosophers, everyone believes, but those philosophers also don't mention us. They're constantly always trying, in fact, to hide us. Verse 3, I therefore have thought myself under an obligation to write somewhat briefly about these subjects, in order to convict those that reproach us of spite and voluntary falsehood, and to correct the ignorance of others, and withal to instruct all those who are desirous of knowing truth of what great antiquity we really are, As for the witnesses whom I shall produce for the proof of what I say, prove all things, they shall be such as are esteemed to be of the greatest reputation for truth, and the most skillful in the knowledge of all antiquity. That means history. By the Greeks themselves. I will also show, so he's going to use, this is how you know this is a black man. He's like, I'm going to use your text to prove us. I'm going to use what you've put out there. I'm going to use that to prove who we are. I will also show that those who have written so reproachfully and falsely, lies, deception, father of lies, about us, are to be convicted by what they have written themselves to the contrary. He's exposing the agenda. And what's heavy, a revelation I just had in this moment, as far as the devil goes, right? Them being the abomination. You got to remember, if you are mortal enemies, and then finally one day you defeat your opponent and you break into his library, and then you find all these documents, when they were doing that, you're reading the devil knowing that they're talking about you. You see what I'm saying? We are looking at it from a Christian spiritual perspective of the devil, the deceiver. But at that time, he himself would have broken to your enemy and noticed, okay, they were writing about us. Okay, if I'm going to subject his children to me, I can't have the knowledge that the devil is me. Just some free soup for you there. So that's why they had to say, all right, we got to make some changes to do what they've told you they've done, to merge the two, which gives us more power. We can't have the text and the information as it is, or whoever of their descendants would pick it up. If we say, okay, this is y'all's section, and it's all these, Israelite wisdom, immediately that generation is going to revolt. So I'm just giving you some practical understanding of why this was done. It makes perfect sense, and why they are literally the devil, means deceiver. So we're talking about deception, and Josephus is telling you, hey, these people are lying. I'm about to prove it. Even the real Christ himself has a passage where he says, what? You whitewashed. He calls somebody whitewashed. A lot of people don't know that, right? So that's what Uncle James Valiant said. If there was a real Christ, he was like, he was a revolutionary. We as Israelites, most of us know, yeah, we can show you passages that show that revolutionary that he's talking about. I digress, we may progress. Go to chapter 2, verse 6 through 8. Chapter 2, verse 6 through 8. And now, in the first place, I cannot but greatly wonder at those men who suppose that we must attend to none but Grecians. Only people y'all listen to is white people. He's literally saying this. When we are inquiring about the most ancient facts, and must inform ourselves of their truth from them only, while we must not believe ourselves nor other men. Tell me that's not a black man speaking. This is great. For I am convinced that the very, let me go on here, 6 through 8, the next page. All right, we are back. Technical difficulties. Verse 27, chapter 5, verse 27. We therefore, who are Jews, must yield to the Grecian writers as to language and eloquence of composition. We write different than them. Right? Ours is more oral tradition. even if this is quoted in the New Testament, but he says, though I be rude in speech. So there's the acknowledgement of he's talking about their education. All right. It's like, you know how we are. Slang versus formal, right? So he's saying the Grecians, they got that. But the point is, culturally, it doesn't matter to that culture. That matters only when you got another culture over you versus within your own who understands you. But then we shall give them no such preference as to the verity of ancient history. So he's saying, okay, you speak well, but just because you speak and present well doesn't mean that you are telling the truth. And we suffer from that today with their media. You know, they got the best software, Adobe, YouTube, and all this. Their presentation, even when we look at the modern day, you know, everybody's got a radio show, podcast, whatever you want to call it, and their presentation is on point when ours, because we don't have the same economic capital, is always a little bit less in a lot of instances. He's saying that doesn't change the truth of what I'm saying, just because we run the yard when it comes to the history. It may not be in the way you want it, but what I'm saying to you is true. And least of all as to that part which concerns the affairs of our own several countries. Let's go 6 and 28. Six and 28 is here. All right. As to the care of writing down the records from the earliest antiquity among the Egyptians. Among the who? Among the Egyptians. Uncle Lou said that the Egyptians are Canaanites. That means Akans. That means we are Egyptians. And Babylonians, Egyptians and Babylonians, that the priests were entrusted therewith and employed a philosophical concern about it. It's talking about our priests that were in Egypt. Now, I've said this before, the Ga, my tribe, the Wulamo, we were priests there. They will tell you that, oral tradition and history. So it's talking about, but no, I'll say it a different way, the Levitical priesthood, which was in Egypt. The Levitical priesthood did not take place after Egypt forming. So if you see, now this is why elders don't read this, because he can't be talking about a priesthood. He's a Israelite, Jew, right? And then saying we had priests in Egypt. It wouldn't make any sense. But it makes sense how I'm teaching you the true narrative that yes, we were there and we had priests. So now it makes sense what he's saying. See, this part of the book was closed until the proper time. That's what it means. He said, close the book. And only he that's worthy may read it. It's funny. I saw that was the headline of a Sabbath message. I won't say which group that I saw on my YouTube feed the other day, yesterday. It said, who's worthy to open the book? Got to be worthy to open the book. And the truth is what allows you to be worthy, pursuit of the truth, right? It says that these were the Chaldean, the who? Chaldeans, or the Chaldeans, priests. Interesting. Let me finish this out. Selah. That did so among the Babylonians, and that the Phoenicians, who were mingled among the Greeks, did especially make use of their letters, both for the common affairs of life and for the delivering down through the history of common transactions. It's talking about cuneiform, if you don't know. We won't be able to get into that in this message, but when I start this new 119 direction, we're going to get into it then. I'll give you a shorthand understanding, though. It's highly likely that Moses was writing in cuneiform. They told you what? You've been in the We haven't yet. I haven't really pushed it like that. But the Vegbe 119 I teach, I revealed the last video that I did, my suspicion, what you suspect, right? My suspicion that the Akkadians are Akans. And so cuneiform, they say that cuneiform were the Akkadians. You made no connection to it. But now you're making a deeper connection. So the transactions, that's a lot of those tablets are transaction tablets, documentation, receipts. All right, that's what he's talking about here. I say that so you understand what he's saying. You've seen those cuneiform tablets in Egypt. Actually, just to give you, actually, no, because the way I'm doing this time, I'll be able to put a picture up there. So you'll see the images as I'm talking, because I won't go through and do that. So gotta remember that. Oh, wait a second. Let me read that one more time. Phoenicians who were mingled with common among the Greeks did especially make use of their letters, both for common affairs of life and for the delivering down of history of common transactions. Letters, I think that literally means are symbols. Made use of our symbols, meaning our letters literally, not letters as in paper letters, but letters as in symbols, the Phoenician alphabet. Wow. Yeah, I'm going to underline that one. Both for common affairs and life and for the delivering down of the history of common transactions, proving that what I just said, you can't make that up. Proving what I just said, that they made use of our letters. So when you see the Phoenician alphabet, when you see cuneiform, which belong to the Akkadians, that's the Akans. That's us. The writing system that you thought was somebody else's is yours. Wow. I think that I may omit any proof because all men allow it so to be. So now let's get this. You see the word Chaldean and you see Egyptians. Again, if you were reading this in an Israelite mind or a Christian mind, you would discard it and wouldn't understand what's going on. I submit to you, these are Israelites. That's I already stated. Let me prove it. Let's go to now. My knowledge of Hebrew is what allows this. The word for Chaldean is Hesed. H3. They have it written Kasti, Chaldeans, or Chaldeans, derived from the Hebrew root Kastim, referring to the Chaldeans, a people group in the ancient Near East. Notice it doesn't really say what tribe. Listen though, the term Kasti or Kastima refers to the Chaldeans. They use, when you see CH in the modern Bible translation, that's a K. When you see a K, it's a CH, all right? But the Chaldeans, an ancient Semitic speaking people. Who? Ancient Sem. Right here, they've told you the truth, woman. Didn't say Hamitic speaking. I thought the Canaanites were Hamitic. The sons of Ham, cursed be Canaan. I thought the Canaanites were Semitic. Remember, all of us are Fome, and the three sons, we all use the same names. So you can't determine my lineage based off of my name necessarily. But Semitic proves that it's not Hamitic. These are Semitic children. Sem's line. Speaking people who lived in the region of southern Babylonia, which is present-day southern Iraq. In the Bible, the Chaldeans are often, and once you, another layer of hiding it, right? CH, like I just said, you would think Chaldeans, that's Ka. Why the change? Again, smoke and mirrors to deceive you, so you're not making any connection to Kana. So we're going to change to Chaldeans instead of for ignorant person versus Chaldeans. But the ka is telling you it's dealing with kana, are often associated with astrology, wisdom, and the Babylonian Empire. They are frequently mentioned in the context of their role in the Babylonian captivity of the Israelites. Did you see the bait and switch? They said all of that, and then they said the captivity of the Israelites. See? Knowing the confusion that they're using. Now, fortunately, kana. Fortunately, Brother Ènyéséƒ has knowledge, extensive knowledge of the Hebrew. So immediately when I saw that, I said, okay, I see y'all got the custody here. I thought of the Hebrew word for saints. What is the Hebrew word for saints for me? Well, I'm about to reveal that to you. First, when you look at the root word here, you have kased. Derived from the root kased, well, they got kasad, which is not used in the Hebrew Bible, but is related to the idea of increasing or growing. There is no direct Greek equivalent of kased, as it is a proper noun specific to the Hebrew text. Kased, so now look at that. It's not used in the Hebrew Bible. But this word was created based off of the idea that they're doing what I just told you, what Uncle Josephus is warning you about. They're adding things. It's not in the Hebrew Bible, but it was added because the idea is there. Just like Trinity's not in the Bible, Christian, but it's added, trying to convey an idea which they don't understand is a doctrine. It's not an actual idea. It's a doctrine. Now, the idea is correct based off the lie. But when you remove the lie, now you just got a word sitting there that's lying to you. Kased is a proper noun used in the Hebrew Bible to refer to a person, especially one of the sons of Nahor, Abraham's brother. The name is associated with the Chaldeans, a group known for their wisdom and astrology in ancient Mesopotamia. I don't know about you, but the elders always taught us witchcraft. Literally, the elders would say the Chaldeans represent witchcraft. That's literally what elders would say. And the videos are still up. I can show it to you. That's what we were taught. In the biblical narrative, Kased is mentioned as one of the sons of Nahor. Make him nephew. I got that already. Got that. Don't need that. All right. Now, this interested me though. Look how they wrote this. One said, one seed, kased, akan. It's funny that the word akan, and then we have the word that I say the prayer, what? Deka. It's all wordplay for me. Deka means one. What did I say? Part one and now. He was preaching unity. Seol, one code, right? Now let's deal with those saints. So when I saw that oneness, I said, this is the same, these are the same Hebrew symbols used for saints. Okay. Keyboard came unplugged there. All you got to do, I'm literally going to just type in saint. Type in saint on your concordance, and what pops up? You got Kodesh dealing with holy, which comes from the same root, because they know they're lying. But right here, look, they're just using different modern Hebrew symbols and diacritical marks, the Masorets, to deceive. I knew this was here, separated, because I knew that saints and faithful brethren are separated. Saints are only Israelites, not Gentiles. Only Israelites can be saints. That's doctrinal. That's the way it works. Separation is always there because that's who he is. Kasid. Kasid. One seed. Kasid. Faithful, righteous, holy. That means separate. Pious, kind. right? Here. Term Kassid is used in the Hebrew Bible to describe individuals who are characterized by their piety, faithfulness, and devotion to MÁWU. It often refers to those who are loyal to MÁWU's covenant and exhibit kindness and mercy towards others. You can see the deception, right? The word can denote both a personal attribute of righteousness and a communal identity. What? Communal identity, deka, akan, deka, of those who are to living according to MÁWU's laws. Ancient Israel, being Kassid, was closely associated with living in accordance with the covenantal relationship established between MÁWU and his people. This involved adherence to the Torah, participation in religious rituals, and commitment to ethical behavior. The concept of Kasidot piety was central to the identity of the Israelite community, emphasizing a life of holiness and service to MÁWU. So, you're seeing the link that I'm making here. The word for Chaldean, when you go into the concordance and break down the etymology of the word, is pointing to us. All they did was use a different sa. It's the exact same word. Kassid versus Kased. These are it's the same word with different symbols and diacritical marks for them. So this is where your Chaldean come from. Is talking about is what I'm showing you etymologically. The word is made up. So who are they? It's us. It's the Akans. Let's continue. Pick up in verse 29 now. Let's see, I'm here. I want to get rid of this first part here. Oops. Verse 29. But now as to our forefathers, that they took no less care about writing such records. For I will not say they took greater care than the others I spoke of, and that they committed that matter to their high priests, the priesthood, and to prophets, and that these records have been written all along down to our own times with the utmost accuracy. Nay, if it be not too bold for me to say it, our history will be so written hereafter. I shall endeavor briefly to inform you. Let's get 7 and 37. Right across the street. Maybe out here. Okay. Oh, let's cut off. Where's my page here? All right, here we go. 737. This is justly or rather necessarily done because everyone is not permitted of his own accord to be a writer, nor is there any disagreement in what is written. They being only prophets that have written the original and earliest accounts of things himself by inspiration. By what? By inspiration. 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 21. All scripture is given by what? Inspiration of MÁWU. This is how it was received. That's a precept. And others have written what hath happened in their own times, and that in every distinct manner also, very distinct manner also. 8 and 38. For we have not an innumerable multitude of books among us, disagreeing from and contradicting one another, as the Greeks have. And you notice that when you start reading these books, there are contradictions. It's pointing out, yeah, that's how they get down. We're about accuracy, and they're about acting. See. But only 22 books. What? Only 22 books, which contain the records of all the times, which are justly believed to be divine. 22 books for me. And I'm coining a new term after reading this footnote here, which, that's when you see the little cross there, that means it's a footnote accompanying. Which were these 22 sacred books of the what? Old Testament. What? Old Testament. From now on, I'm calling the Old Testament the True Testament. So no New Testament, only the True Testament. The 22 books of the Old Testament, the Tanakh, is what Uncle Josephus is upholding. No mention of the New Testament for me. Think about that for a few moments. His only mention of Yesu is Christ is like 4 sentences. That's it. And the whole Josephus catalog here is just like 4 sentences. You would think that if Christ did all this stuff that the Christians are saying he did, that Israelites are thinking he did, that there will be more mention of him by the historians, his people, than that. Truth is, for me, there isn't, because he was just a man. But I digress so we can progress. Let's get 10, chapter 10, verse 53 and 54. Well, 53. The making, Kafla, let me get back into technical difficulties. Get back in first. In this word calumny, the making of false and defamatory about someone in order to damage their reputation, that he attempted to discredit my history and took it to be a kind of scholastic performance for the exercise of young men, meaning a joke, a strange sort of accusation and defamation this is. Since everyone that undertakes to deliver the history of actions truly ought to know them accurately himself in the first place, as either having been concerned in them himself, so meaning first-hand account, or been informed of them by such as knew them. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to the ones who know, right? That's the oral tradition is. That is the word that becomes flesh, right? That is the word that's seeking through our DNA. Men that live, passing down through the breath of life, what happened, actually happened. So that's all right. We are back. Let's get our workplace keeps crashing. Back, no matter. So I just hit me. He might be a guy. It's very possible Josephus is a guy. But he's definitely a priest. But he's saying, me being a priest by birth, I have studied that philosophy which is contained. So, you know, this is what I'm saying. Josephus is upheld as a trusted source. That's what they were saying to us earlier. Let's get to 11. Oh, wait a second. Verse 54, I believe it is. Oh. Verse 54 now. No, 11:57 through 59. Here we go. This discretion I have been obliged to make out of necessity, as being desirous to expose the vanity of those that profess to write histories. And I suppose I have sufficiently declared that this custom of transmitting down the histories of times hath been better preserved by those nations which are called barbarians. Then, that's talking about us. He's being, I guess, facetious or sarcastic, than by the Greeks themselves. I am now willing in the next place. And literally, well, that's not important. I am now willing in the next place to say a few things to those who endeavor to prove that our Constitution is but a late time. For this reason, as they pretend that the Greek writers have said nothing about us. Israelites, when dealing with the Kemetic community, what do they always say? They're like, y'all are young. We've got all these records proving. I can go to Kemet and I can see our people versus y'all. We can't find the bones. I can't find anything. So he's saying that. All right. Hold on to your hats. Verse 59. After which I shall produce testimonies for our antiquity out of the writings of foreigners. Again, using the opposition who is trusted to bring forth the truth. I shall also demonstrate that such as cast reproaches upon our nation do it very unjustly. Oh, thing up here. Okay, this is out of place. No, that's not out of place. I'm missing. Oh, it's over here. Okay, there. I'm like, I'm missing something. Why is that cut off like that? Should be able to just scroll. There we go. 1369 through 71 here. Let us now put the case, therefore, that we made use of this argument concerning the Grecians in order to prove that their nation was not ancient, because nothing is said of them in our records. Would not they laugh at us all, and probably give the same reasons for our silence that I have now alleged, and would produce their neighboring nations as witnesses to their own antiquity? So he said, what if the shoe was on the other foot? If I told you, well, you didn't exist because you're not in our records. You see what I'm saying? For me, it makes no sense. I mean, just because y'all haven't seen us, which after today, that's going to change. We're there. 70. Now the very same thing will I endeavor to do, for I will bring the Egyptians and the Phoenicians as my principal witnesses, because nobody can complain of their testimony. The who? Egyptians and Phoenicians. That means Kemet, to my conscious brothers and sisters. To my Israelite brothers and sisters, we're talking about Kemet, Egypt. Michichile. As my principal witnesses, because nobody can complain of their testimony. All of you trust what you see from them. Whether you agree with it or not, you trust it because you can see it, right? Then, as false on account that they are known to have borne the greatest ill will towards us. So he's saying, if I can show you us in their records, and we know they hate us, it's got to be real. Because their job was to hide us and is to hide us, keep us from our records, confuse us. Amen. I mean this as to the Egyptians in general, all of them, while of the Phoenicians, it is known the Tyrians have been most of all in the same ill disposition towards us. Yet do I confess that I cannot say the same of the Chaldeans, the Akkadians, the Akans. Since our first leaders, what? Since our first leaders. I love the fact that your elder would never read this to you. And ancestors were derived from them. And they do make mention of us Jews. See the wordplay? So they changed the word Akans to Chaldeans. They changed the word Israelites, right, to Jews in their records on account of the kindred there is between us. You see? Do you see it for me? Verse 72. That's verse 71. Now we are going to jump to chapter 14, verse 73 through 78, right here. I shall begin with the writings of the Egyptians, not indeed of those that have written in the Egyptian tongue or language, which it is impossible for me to do. He said, I don't speak Medanetra. I don't speak Egyptian. Manito. Who? Manito. Remember we read, I said Selah. They mentioned Manito as a trusted source of information when we were reading about all of the theology, right? About the gods. So now you see he's about to use a trusted source. You can't argue with Manito. The Greeks told you to trust Manito. The white man said trust Manito. So I'm going to trust Manito. Okay? But Manito was a man who was by birth an Egyptian, meaning a Metic. Yet had he made himself master of the Greek learning, as is very evident, for he wrote the history of his own country in the Greek tongue, by translating it, as he saith himself, out of their sacred records. So, Gulu says we have our sacred records. He's saying they've got their sacred records. He's saying he translated it out of the Grecians' sacred records. He also finds great fault with Herodotus for his ignorance and false relations of Egyptian affairs. Selah. Manetho found fault with Herod, King Herod, that's the Herod that you see in Matthew, for his ignorance and false relations of Egyptian affairs. He's saying what I'm telling you, the deceptions. He's like, how can this person not know this? And why is this person lying about things they don't know or things that they do? This is what Manetho is saying. This is not Josephus talking now. Josephus is quoting Manetho, the Egyptian who everyone trusts. Let's continue. Now, verse 74, this Manetho, the second book of his Egyptian history, writes in the following manner: I will set down his very words as if I were to bring the very man himself into a court for a witness. So you see the quotation marks here. 75. There was a king of ours whose name was Timos. Now this is all Manetho. Remember, this is not Josephus. This is Manetho speaking. Under him, I best sit do that. I don't know if that door's open. There was a king of ours whose name was Timon. Under him it came to pass, I know not how, that MÁWU was averse to us, and there came after a surprising manner men of ignoble birth out of the eastern parts, and had boldness. We cannot let that go on. So I don't know if I have to maybe give a phone with the Netflix or something, but we gotta get it to stop. Under him it came to pass, I know not how, that MÁWU was averse to us. And there came after a surprising manner men of ignoble birth out of the eastern parts, and had boldness enough to make an expedition into our country, and with ease subdued it by force, yet without our hazarding a battle with them. So when they had begotten those, so just to give you context, these are the Canaanites that were in the land when we came in and took it. He said that. Yeah, he said that. Seme, Uncle Seme, Akan, was considered an Egyptian because he's living in Egypt. No different than I would be considered a American. So as history would say, an American, Ènyéséƒ was an American who went and set up so-and-so, but I'm actually not an American. So when it says an Egyptian, Seme is an Egyptian, it's accurate in that being where he was coming from. But we know that he is Sem and not Kemet, which is Ham. What you need to understand is that, I'm gonna reveal, but you need to understand that it's not Egypt, as you've been taught, it's Kemet. Kemet is not Cana. That will be Canaan or a Canaanite. Kemet is just a word that means in the sand, ultimately. That's what Kemet means. They tell you hot chemistry. It just means Kemet, in the sand. So I'm just saying that word itself, Kemet, doesn't tell you where the person is from. But tracing the language of it does tell you gives you an idea. So when we say we're Egyptians, that's how you can understand that, okay? 76. So when they had gotten those that, but they've come in, they're kicking them out. Remember, Uncle Semi was sent, right, was sent there by the Egyptians. Don't worry, it's gonna make more sense to you. I'm not saying a certain thing on purpose to take over that territory. That the Canaanites, which belong to Kemet, or Uncle Kim, right, was Ham, set up. Governed us under their power. They afterwards burnt down our cities and demolished the temples of the MÁWU, or the gods. And used, now I highlight that because you can easily read in the New Testament, kind of is the New Testament with all this revelation. In the true testament, you can read how we are commanded to go in and break down their altars. What I'm doing right now. And use all the inhabitants after a most barbarous manner. Nay, some they slew and led their children and their wives into slavery. Remember, it's talking about us, the Israelites. At length, they made one of themselves king, whose name was, now this is interesting. Maybe that's what it is. I'm gonna show you my two ideas. Salatus. Now, either this is Saul or that's Salem. So that's Uncle Semi. And I believe at this time, I don't know, I'm gonna look into that. I thought with the way we've been talking about timelines and things getting mixed up, that's why I said this might be Saul. All right, this could be Saul, and you'll see why. But it could be Melchizedek. I think he's talking to Melchizedek because the changing of the guard there that we read about. So I'm going to say this is Salah as in Salim, right? Not Saul. So this is Melchizedek, right? Real quick. Bye-bye, man. Just going to see what pops up when I type in Salatus. What pops up real quick. Let's see. Here, one more thing. Pops up. Yeah, it says yeah, if he was the first king, then this has got to be right, because this is in Greek. Something I didn't catch before Kafla. Didn't catch this. That's what I'm say the wrong thing. Yeah, it would have to be, timeline wise, it would have to be Uncle Simeon, because Saul doesn't come until long after even Joshua's time. So if they're going back and we're dating this right, because remember again, Saul comes basically, no, whoa. Because that's going into Matthew, Ptolemy's. But if he's the first king of that area, make sure I got something right here. Oh, wait a second. Let me keep going for now. I'll come back to that later. So he also lived at Memphis, and he made both the upper and lower regions pay tribute, and left garrisons in places that were the most proper for them. He chiefly aimed to secure the eastern parts, as foreseeing that the Assyrians, who had then the greatest power, would be desirous of that kingdom and invade them. And that's part of why I think it's Saul, because the Assyrian captivity came after the Babylonian. You got the that's long after the Babylonian. No. Assyrians, Babylon came after Assyria. And then you first had what even out? Egyptian, Babylonian, Egyptian, Assyrian, Babylon. Right. So if it's the Assyrians, let me keep going. It's okay. Who had then the greatest power. My mind wants to go into it, and I just can't, so let me just leave it. Who had then the greatest power, would be desirous of that kingdom and invade them. And as he's found in the Sate Nomos, a Sethorite, a city very proper for his purpose, and which lay upon the Bubastic channel, with regard to a certain theologic notion, was called, now it says theologic notion, meaning spiritual notion, right? Theology. It was called avarice. What? Avarice. Notice something. He's an Egyptian, reading out of the Greek records, but look at that V. We know that V well now, don't we? If you didn't speak ever, you wouldn't think anything of that V. You would think the. But now, since you have your actual culture back, you go, wait a second, I already know what that word means. Don't worry, I'm about to show it to you. This he rebuilt. Let me go, let's see, I want to go to verse. Yes, let me finish this verse. This he rebuilt and made very strong by the walls he built about it, and by a most numerous garrison of 240,000 armed men, whom he put into it to keep it. This is Uncle Simeon, okay? Because another thing, Uncle Josephus is proving what he said before. So this is him, and I'm going to show you why this is him, because he said he went into that land, Canaan, which we call Canaan, that area, and set up Jerusalem, right? That's just the Greek way of saying Salah, Selom, right? But I'm going to prove it. You have avarice. Do you know what Ava means in Ewe. Of course you don't. That's why I'm here. Of course you don't. Say, tell us plainly, tell us plainly. Let's get it. Ava. War. What do you see right below that for me? You have to say it out loud. The male privy member, right? Ava. Or Ava. Why is this important? So calling it Ava because what? They had to make war to take it. And you're going to find that area, even today, what's going on? Palestine, Israel. Everybody's fighting over that area. So the place is spiritually called Ava. The kingdom of heaven suffereth what? Violence, even to this very day. Ava. More accurately, and before I get the more accurately, our forefather Abraham was a man of war. Remember, people forget he was a king, a prince in Midian, right? Married a Midianite woman. There's a lot of wars that that are not in the Bible. You have to go into Jasher and I'm leaving out. Yeah, into the book of Jasher to see all these wars he fought. It's amazing. Before he comes back. Now, in the biblical narrative, you do have him winning that war in Sodom, and for Lot, that's where Rebekah comes out to meet him, literally after a Ava war. So Abraham, who was called what? Abram. What? Abram. Abarama. The ba and the ra are used to try to pronounce the va. Because we don't have, out of the Phoenician alphabet symbols, the limited alphabet. Remember our alphabet. I'm going to talk about this in Evergbad 119. I don't want to miss it. But we were constantly using someone else's alphabet. Even our current alphabet is Latin. See? Because we couldn't use English because it didn't have enough symbols. So we would combine letters. That's how you know that the so-called Hebrew can't be ever, because it would have the amount of letters that we need. It doesn't. The ba and the ra make the va. So his name was Avum. Avum, which means man of war. When he changed his name, it became Avraham. 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 That is Abraham, Uncle Abraham's, Father Abraham's real name, Avraham. Ava combines war, and we all know that he is the first one to make a covenant through what? Circumcision. Look at the word we have in every language here, Ava. You can't make that up. See, that's not me guessing. This is the language. Avraham. Hamid just means group of people. So he's basically the first of the Avraham, of the group of people that would be partaking in this covenant. So you got two spiritual understandings in one. That's how powerful our language is. I digress, we made progress. Let's go to Ava, which is actually, let me get that for you now. I said, let me get the true name to make it make sense, because Ava is not a name. That's the verb or noun for war, but it's not a name for a place. Let me show you how you do that. That's actually my Mussolini. It's right here for you. This is the actual name. Avayifwe. Afwe means house in Ewe. So Avayifwe is what the actual name of that area, the delta, or aka Kana, is. Avaifwe. So now you got the proper understanding for me. Let's go to Avaifwe. Avaifwe. Sometimes we jump down to, I mean, this is just first part here. You got all these different Arabic and all this stuff up here. You would never know the actual wording. And see, I even have the Egyptian, but you don't have the Ava. Was the Hyksos capital of Egypt? Was the who? Hyksos capital of Egypt. Was the who? Hyksos capital of Egypt. That's, wait a minute. He said, Uncle who said we were Egyptians. And now is, would you ever read that it was the Hyksos capital? This is the same land, by the way, for me. Is where you know as Goshen. Same area. This is where Goshen is. Everybody's always naming stuff Goshen. The Israelites try to take a piece of place, they name it Goshen. That's the name they give you. But Avaifwe was the capital of Egypt. Now, you would think Memphis, upper, lower. It's the capital of Egypt. Revelation I just had in a moment, I'll just say it. He said, you will be above and not the tail. You will always be on the bottom. If the African map is upside down, this will be the bottom. But I digress, we may progress. So Avaifwe, this is where we were. Located at the modern site of Tel Dava in the northeastern region of the Nile Delta. All right, technical difficulties, we are returned. That's right, we are returned. All right. In the saddle. Let's go. In the saddle format. Let's go. The name in the Egyptian language of the 2nd millennium BC was probably pronounced, look what they got. Ha et wa re. Ha et wa. Now, I'm just showing you the deceptions that he's talking about. Fusion. Now you see the W there, though, don't you? Again, we know that the German W is the V, right? As in Volkswagen, right? So that's them trying to deceive us. House of the region is what they have it meaning. Now, and denotes the capital of the administrative division of the land. Today, the name Hawara. What? Awara. Look how they have a closer to what I told you, Ava. Awara survived, referring to the site at the entrance to the Fayim. Alternatively, of Alexandria referred to the name of this city as Atira. You will never got the truth on Wiki. It's my simple knowledge of the language. It's all we need. Knowledge of self. This is the true knowledge of self. This is telling you what? This is us. It's doing what Uncle Lou just said is going to happen. This is the truth, woman. And let's look at the excavations. Excavations. In 1885, the Swiss Edward Naville started the first excavations in the area around Tel Aviv between 1941 and 1942. Okay, I know what I'm looking for now. Let's see, where is it here? Maybe to get right to it. me see if I can get right to it here. Let's see here. Do I see it? I don't see it. Why do I not see what I'm looking for me? Hold on. I'm not seeing the word that I'm looking for. And I don't know why. Yeah, I don't see the word I'm looking for. Let me take one more look here. Don't see the word I'm looking for me. Let me see. Don't see the word I'm looking for. Let me make sure. Yeah, I don't see it. Let me look up here. I don't know. I don't see it. Let me see. Oh. Okay, I see what I did. What I was going to point out is not that section. Take a look at this. Take a look at this sculpture. That's what I'm trying to think of earlier. Sculptures. Don't do it, man. Don't do it. An official wearing the mushroom-headed. Is this where they? This is where they get Mario mushroom from? The mushroom-headed hairstyle, also seen in contemporary paintings in Western Asiatic foreigners from Ànyésàrè, the capital of the Hyksos. Afro-Asiatic is the term I want to use. That's an afro, people. See all this mess they put here, mushroom, it's an afro. And I can show you pictures of, you've already got the image, you know us. Isn't it amazing that this particular sculpture has the nose and the lips broken off? Just understand this is one of your answers. Just understand that. This is us. You got the fro out. Just wanted to show that. Now let's go back to Josephus. Let's get to verse 79 through 82. And let's get 79 through 82. All right. Let's get rid of a couple of things for memory's sake. See if we're still locked in here. Here we go. 79. Thither, Seven came in summertime, partly to gather his corn and pay his soldiers their wages, and partly to exercise his armed men, and thereby to terrify foreigners. When this man had reigned 19 years, after him reigned another, whose name was Beon. After him reigned another, whose name was, so I had it right. This is Melchizedek 7. And 44 years, after him reigned another, Akans, 36 years, and even 7 months. 36 years and 7 months. After him, Apophis reigned 61 years, and then Jonias, 50 years and 1 month, 81. After all these reigned, Asi, 49 years and 2 months, and these 6 were the first rulers among them, who were all along making war with the Egyptians. So yes, that coincides precepts with what we read in the earlier book, War of the against Apion. Not against Apion, but what is it here? Wars of the Jews. I had it right. Wars of the Jews. So this is indeed Salatis is Salem, which I've shown you is Semen, because our word for peace is Fafa, right? So Selom is what it's showing you. Another word that we have in our true tongue, right? Which means Seme, Selom. Why was he at peace? Love of the law. Selom, reminding you that the law is love. Verse 7. All right. Kafla. Back for me. All right, here we go. Where were we? At Afro-Asiatic. I think I was finishing verse 82. See if I finished that point. Yeah, I was gonna finish in verse 82, and I zoomed out because I recorded something that I didn't want to record. There we go. The bombshell went off and it broke the internet. This whole nation, this is Manito speaking. Listen to your elder, your sage, was styled Hyksos. Who? Hyksos or Hyksos. The Hyksos, that is shepherd kings. Emphasis on the herd. For the first syllable, Hyk, according to the sacred dialect, denotes a king, as is Sos, a shepherd. But this according to the ordinary dialect, and of these is compounded Hyksos. So he's saying one is an Ewe symbol, sacred dialect, and the other is an ordinary. So you can't really trace it so much. And I'm also going to reveal the second tier of this though. Remember, we have symbols. The sacred dialect is not spoken, it is visually understood. Take it to a higher level. I'll reveal that to you in a second. Without knowledge of these symbols, without knowledge of the culture, you can make connections to any of this. If all you have is the modern Hebrew letters, not just the modern, the Paleo Hebrew letters in front of you that they've given, you won't be able to connections. But you have to have an understanding of the culture and the language to be able to make these connections. It's a package deal. It's a spiritual way that unlocks the truth. And of these compounded Hyksos, but some say that these people were Arabians. So let's get both of these things here. How do I want to show you? Let's get a whiteboard up for you here. Let's get the whiteboard up for you. Let me see here. Not worried about it. It says annotations. What's this? Can I write on the screen? I'm experimenting live for a minute, so bear with me. Let's see if there's any annotating I can do without my other whiteboard. Nice. I don't know if my pen still don't tell me my pen. I might need a battery for me. I might have to pause it and grab a battery. I think my battery is dead. Yep, my battery is dead. Or this isn't a pen. Let me go back. Or it's not a pen program. So, okay, I got use of the pen going here. But now I don't have use of the writing. Okay, so my pen's not working, but I don't think this allows the pen. I think that's what it is. I'm go out on a limb and use my stylus from my phone. Nope, not there. All right. Let me see how this looks. Let me put my note here in front of me. One second here. Get my over front. Voila. I'll do this. Okay. So when it talks about the sacred dialect for me, let me show you this. Hyksos, denoting a king, right? Oh, turn this off so I can write directly on screen, save me some time. Excellent. But let me go to this now. Sacred dialect denotes a king, correct? I want to show you two things from our language. First thing I'm going to show you is the he. What? What's that show you? That is a sound that is in our language. You might be thinking right now, oh, there's a Hebrew symbol that does that. You are correct. Hold tight. This is the he. See, I double click this. He. Small gourd for drawing palm wine. Palm wine, which is what I drink here. You wouldn't even know that culturally. That's what's in the scriptures as well. It says the Most High has a foaming cup in his hand. Well, wine doesn't foam from it, but palm wine does. He is a small gourd for drawing palm wine. Let me grab you an example. Let me grab you an example. This format is a he. There's the gourd. There's the gourd. Cut that in half, you have. Cut that in half, you have. You have a he. Use it for drawing the palm wine. It's also known as the calabash. This is what the priests use when praying and pouring libation. A he. We know that. It says, my cup runneth over, yagbago. Palm wine. A he. Culture. How many of you have one of these in your study? The culture is in the language format. The soil. This represents, I said the priest pray, right? It says Melchizedek, king and high priest. So the sacred language, again, unspoken, this is cultural. This is a symbol in and of itself for kings, because kings were thought to be able to communicate with the gods. This is where you get your idea of a satellite from. I've spoken of this when you see further messages. Onkulu Osomofua Benjamin speaks about this. Now you see a synonym for it. The synonym for it is che, 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 che. That's the che family. Format, che or chi. Now, mele, let me break down the word now. I go into the, that's the, this is part of the symbol. The prayer, being close to MÁWU himself, the Most High. That's divinity, right? Sacred symbol. King. Che, 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 or chi, chi, chi. That's why it's spelled CHI format. So the original tongue or where it comes from. Let's get a different now. Let's get the male. Let me show you something. See if I got that saved. Maybe I didn't. I might not have been planning to go here. I don't think I have it saved because I don't think I was planning to go here. So let me just, if not, I won't worry about it. Sticking to what I have ready to go. Yeah, so I've already explained the other two. A mele is a ship or a vessel is a mele. So we have mele che sedeka. Mele, vessel. Che, king. Communicator with MÁWU. Sedeka, se, the word. Deka, one. Melchizedeka. Meleche, that's where Malachi comes from. Meleche is how you say Malachi. So I'm showing you what he's talking about. To put the nail in the coffin here, though, for me. Here is the unspoken symbol. Now, you, that again, in pen, so it's okay. You, in your Hebrew understanding, you would write this. That's what they gave you. See if I can make that any bigger. Line width. Let's try this one. That's better. Bear with me, I'm using my finger. You would draw that for me. Right? Or it would look like this. You see that used? Well, if you don't have knowledge of what a fiazikpui is, aka a stool is, then you won't understand what that actually is. And that's what I'm going to be showing in the 119. All right. It may be this PDF. I don't know. I just don't have time to check everything, but I don't know if it's me or what. I don't know. So, all right, we're back. But what I was showing you is if you just type in Ghana stool, these are stools. Now, you have no idea how important that these are, but the stool, look at it as the spirit of your family, the patriarchal spirit residing over your family that's supposed to be passed down from generation to generation. This is a stool for me. Let me show you one that looks like mine. Oh, perfect. 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 That'll do. This image. There we go. That is a stool. I remember on Facebook, an old high school friend saw mine or heard me speaking of it, I believe on Facebook. I just put like a teaser photo. He's like, what is that? Ignorant Israelites, right? But this is a stool for me. So, let's try this annotation again. It's not this format. It's this. You hide the truth in plain sight. This is how you see me write my ch now. We'll learn this in Everett 119. But that is the actual symbol that is being used. It's a stool. Things that you would only know by the culture. That is an unspoken symbol that I could go on and about and use many words, not just one, many sounds, not just one. It has a representation in Adinkra. Adinkra, dealing with spirits. So now, it represents authority. Wait a second, let me move this. Because now I'm going to show it to you. I don't know why that lingers. Give you a few more photos. Now, the Asante, or the Ashanti, as you would call them, who have some of our brothers, but they're actually not Israelites, as many Israelites erroneously preach. If you type them in, you're going to see something different. You'll see an idolization of the stool amongst them. More proof that they are not us. Just a little more point, a short point on that. You can't be an Ashanti, that's Asante Hene, that's the king. You can't be an Asante Hene, a king, if you are circumcised. Abraham. So just showing you, they claim that this stool came down from heaven. That is idolatry for Sem. This is not Sem. But you see ignorant Israelites pushing him as Judah, or them as Judah. This is not Judah for me, but mixed multitude. So now you understand that the stool represents, that's the Jinyome. That's what my stool has on it. Means except MÁWU, or only MÁWU. So the highest Adinkra symbol that there is. Now that you understand that for me, I don't know how to get rid of it. Okay, maybe it's just I have to erase it. Let me just get rid of it. I think it just stays there for the meeting, but I'll just get rid of it. There we go. Now understanding that for me. Now for me, you understand what he's saying when he says, sacred dialect denotes a king. And the son, which is just regular language, I can show that to you too. No problem. No problem. The son is here. Another letter or sound that we don't have in the English language or the Hebrew language. That's about the fake Hebrew, not the real one. Okay. Get all the way over here. I'm just trying to get one thing. All right, come up and stay up for me. There we go. So, to come together. So. So. Now tell me how I use our tongue. I couldn't do that in Hebrew because you don't have the sound. You have the so. You have a so. You have a so. Might be able to pull it off with that. But so. The so. That is what is happening for me. How am I able to take our sacred dialect and 10 out of 10 it comes out saying exactly what the text is trying to say? So it becomes self-evident. So when it talks about a shepherd kings, a herd of kings, Our profession was not just holding sheep, though. We had all kinds of cattle. But you'll see it. Let's see if that arrives later. And they called us Arabians, right? Let's see me bring that out here. It calls us Arabians. One, let me see if I want to get that or wait. Let me see something. I'll get that later. Let me show you this though. Arabians. Some of you might have thought of Abraham, right? We'll get that later. But I want to show you something I know you thought of. Let's take Arabians here, right? Let me reveal something to you. Let me reveal something to you for me. You have, this is the symbols that you recognize in the modern Hebrew. That is ever, or Hebrew, or Eber, right? The A, the Ba, and the Ra, right? All they did for me to get Arab is just switch these two letters. All they did is switch two letters. Arab. Remember, mixed multitude. So mix the letters. Real simple. They are showing we're the same people, though. But we are these people. These are the mixed ones amongst us. We call you Arabs. We are the Eve, and you are the Arab. Right? Now, looking at it symbolically, you have the, let's take away the Arab part for a moment here, not for a moment, but let's get rid of that now you have that understanding. Let's put it symbolically. You have an eye, a hand, to watch over something. We're shepherds, right? You have, let's go to the Ra. This represents rulership, right? So this is the head watching over, okay? This is the most important symbol in the middle though for me. And I'm about to show you why. Because it's the Ba. And the Ba specifically, and put the cantation for you. Ba or Be. But where did we read the Ba? That's right. Ba is a name for cattle. And the Ba, as you already know in Eve, or in Hebrew, in your Hebrew understanding, what am I about to get here? What am I about to get? Bring this back up. Oh, turn this off. Oh, no, I want to turn it off. Okay, I'm learning. In your Hebrew understanding, oh, I do have to turn this off. Okay, now it'll stay up. There we go. Well, I want to get rid of this, but I'm about to write something else. All right, so give me just a second. In your Hebrew understanding, there we go. Nice. And then let me close this. There we go. In your Hebrew understanding, you know the Hebrew letters for ba. It shouldn't. I've already checked that. It should just go straight to. Oh, actually, you know what? I said I was just going to. Oh, somebody's tuning in here. Just mute your mic. I fly stumbling around here. Let me go this way. You go this way. Let's do a sheet pin number 1. See if that works. And I'm going to open it in Paint. Oh, my bad. I did have it right. That's okay. I got it. All right. This is a ancient sheep pen for me. What does that look like? You got it. Okay. Let me get a can I go back on that real quick? I don't see anything. I'm using Paint program, y'all. Oh, that's erasing everything. Lord, Lord, Lord. I should have put these on my whiteboard. That'd be a lot faster. Oh, here we go. There we go. I was like, Paint ain't got no reverse. Use a different color. That's erase. That's the paint bucket. Pencil. That's what I want. Black. Let's use. This is your ba. That's your ba symbol. That's the ancient ba symbol. You see that? Let me make it a. That's your ancient ba symbol, right? Or draw it like this. That's a sheep pen. What am I telling you? It's not a house for me. It's a house for sheep, or a habitation, a safe haven. That's what bed means for sheep. It's not a house. I can further prove that by going to the, I think it's the Phoenician Hebrew. That's the pictorial or the proto-synoptic. This is the Phoenician Hebrew. Read them in wheat for me. Can you see it? No. And you see it. Who can see it? Is this not the Phoenician ba symbol? You see what I just wrote there? Let me give me the red overlay. Let's get the orange. This is the Phoenician ba symbol. It was not a house as in humans. It's a ba as in ba. Now that you have that visual, of those two at least, let's take you to the ever tongue. And let's look up the ba. It's simply the sound that a sheep makes. To grab with a hook. Ba. With a finger. What does the shepherd's staff look like? It looks like my finger. Hook. That's the ba. I wonder if my daughter would know, right? The sign language. I wonder if it's like that or not. Let me know. But that's the ba. Word for cattle, sheep. Sheep. Sheep herders, right? But check it out. Not just that. You also have the ba. 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 That's not an E or E. That's a ba. Right here. Ba. Look what it means. That is your care for. So I have to say this is what these symbols represent. Pull this back up. Oh, no, I don't have to. I can do it this way. Just had the bar up. One moment here. Okay, no, it's okay. Do it this way. Bear with me, y'all. Got a lot of tools I'm trying to do. So that is what the symbol represents. The ba being the watching over the cattle. Rulers over the cattle, right? The ever. So this term, the question is, this is denoting the king part here, right? Because he said it's a, what you about to see next, shepherd kings. So the question becomes, is this truly what this means? Just shepherd kings? Or have we been lied to? Where was I? Oh yes, I was revealing the ever, what that means. How ever fits the sheep herder or shepherd kings perfectly. But I want to show you one more thing. I got this open while we were away. Oh, I'm going way down there. It's right over here. Where is it? Right here. This is a sheep pen circle. This is also how sheep pens come. Why is this important for me? To understand that the sheep pen is in a circle. I feel like I had a thought to work through in my head. I don't know. I'll hold that for now. Let's ask, you remember, let's ask Uncle, he closed this out. These crashed. That. Leave that. Close that and close that. And some screen sharing stuff. Okay, here we go. Remember when I spoke, this is Uncle Kofi Asare, who Kofi Asare, who Kofi Asare Opoku. But you remember when I spoke of the elder, that quote at the very beginning of part 1, after Auntie Angela's quote, when my Solanye's eyes got real big, when I said, change my world, when he said it. This is him. He said, if you are able to capture the head of the snake, then the whole body becomes but a mere string. Akan proverb. This is the elder who said it. And I'm about to take you to that place that he said it in.